Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 26th episode of Coffee with Cartors, hosted by Marika and I. Hey, Marika.
Hi, Goran.
Folks, I'm still so amped at how well our second virtual AGM went last night, and what a great turnout we had. It was wonderful to see all the familiar faces, and thank you all to those who took the time to join us last night. Please go onto our website and subscribe to our newsletter. We receive so many compliments about the content and the work that we are doing, and we try our best to show heartfelt stories and where your donations are going to, and also to inform you of any special events that we have. This is a bit of a funny one, but I'm not sure if you saw this, but there was a poor ostrich called Fossie on the loose on the M5 in Ottery the end of last month. He brought traffic to an absolute standstill, and apparently he had done this the second time that day. But thank you to all those who assisted. He was finally taken back home. What a sweet story. Our calendars are ready for sale at 140 Rand this year, which includes postage. So please support this annual fundraiser of ours, and I'm sure you're going to love them as much as we loved putting them together for you.
If you've just tuned in, you are watching Coffee with Cartors. Please remember to let us know in the comments where you're watching from, even if you're not watching the live stream, even if you're watching afterwards. We love to hear where you're from and whether you enjoy it. Tell us which part of the story you like the most. And don't feel shy to hit that share button.
Folks, today we actually have a special lineup for you. And we will be showing you Inspector Diana's wonderful, entertaining, and informative presentation that she did for us last night, for those of you that missed it. And so you can see firsthand how our field staff operated during lockdown. So please stay tuned. This is an episode you do not want to miss.
Here you go.
All right, so now onto the part of the evening I think everybody's been looking forward to. I'd like to hand you over to our long-standing Senior Inspector, Diana Tritter, who's going to take you through the field team and their experiences of the last year. So over to you, Diana.
Thank you very much, Penny. Let me just open up here. On behalf of the field team, I would like to say thank you to everyone listening to us from wherever you are sitting. I just need to say, you know, having Zoom and doing Zoom meetings, AGMs and things are very helpful in the world we live in, but I really do miss the face-to-face meeting, you know, the chat after the meetings and the snacks and the coffee drinking, the question and answers. So hopefully next year we can do it the old way, not the new way. I would like to thank my brother who took this photograph of this crop spraying plane, and the photograph was taken on our family farm, Pampoenkraal, Mauriceburg, in the Swartland region, and it fills me with pride to see the hectares and hectares of crop really looking very, very nice. And but I also want you to remember this slide, because we are going to come back and refer to this slide at a later stage. If you look at the crop, I bet you all the farmers are going to have new Mercedeses and double cab Isuzus at the end of the year. Carters Protection Association versus COVID-19 lockdown. When President Ramaphosa announced at the end of March a basic lockdown of South Africa, it was an unreal reality for each and every one of us. For Carters, it was the fact that the horses couldn't go out to work. They couldn't generate the income to look after their horses. They couldn't generate the income to look after themselves. Obviously, Carters had to prioritize, and it was time for really brave decision making from management. And Penny and Megan, they got together and they really made a very brave and a good decision. It's a really, really good decision. They decided that feed will be available to all the cart horses. We even had, during this time, I must just let you know, we even had phone calls from owners really in dire straits asking us if we could assist with feed. And when we would phone Penny would always answer was always the same. It's not about the horse being a privately owned or pleasure horse. It's about a horse being fed. Penny, that is very brave. And I also just need to say at this time that Megan and the fundraising team, Marika and Karen, they started the COVID feed relief fund. And to the ladies and each and every donors that donated towards that fund, I don't think that you have an idea what relief you brought to the horses on the Cape Flats. If it wasn't for that, then many horses would have gone hungry during this period. So thank you very much. Put the feather in your caps where you can find a space. Put them in. You are allowed to. Veterinary was the other action that would continue as normal. It was the feeding of the horse and obviously looking after the health of the horse. So how did this all now work? The owners that stay close to Epping, to our base, they would come to Epping and they would come and collect the feed from Epping. Obviously, the feed collection was recorded. And it was one collection at a time. The rest of the owners need to stay outside our premises. And they have to have masks. All the COVID protocols need to be followed. And we would sanitize arm, legs, wherever you could spray, we would sanitize. And then the next owner would come in once the first owner is finished. But it was a bit of a problem because the carties, they didn't have masks. And it was a swapping of changing of masks at the entrance just so that they could get into our property to collect their ote. For the guys that's staying too far to come to Epping, their ote were delivered at the yards. And again, here it was also a problem because every time when a horse box stopped at a house, you always have this little crowd, the kids coming, running around and coming to see what you do. And again, nobody on the Cape Flats gave much attention to the COVID protocol. On the photograph, you can see that they're busy loading ote there for the distribution to the owners further away. The top photograph, we got 2 horse boxes filled of lucerne donated from an anonymous donor, and that was very kind, and that went a very long way. So thank you very much. I know the donor is attending our AGM tonight. The bottom picture, it's a very peaceful and it's a very calming picture. If you look at it, obviously feed has been delivered to the yard and the feed has been put in the manger, and there you've seen stallions, geldings, mares, everyone eating together. No fights and arguments. When President Ramaphosa announced that we could go down to level 4 lockdown, a couple of things happened. The cart horses could go out to work, so they could start generating income to look after their horses, but we still continued to hand out the ote because we knew they struggled. They hardly had food for themselves in their homes. The staff brought loaves and loaves of bread to feed the carties. They didn't get the benefit of the promised food parcels from the government. The second thing that happened, that Penny split the big team, the big field team, into separate teams, 2 smaller teams. And the reason for that was very clever, and she was 100% correct doing so. Should any of the team, when we work together as one big team, contract COVID-19, then the whole team had to go in isolation, and the horses couldn't go without us. That's one thing for sure. So it was a very good decision. So one team would operate from Epping, It was business as usual. One handler would come in, would have their horse, the shoes put on, would buy his feet, be sanitized, mask, and then he would swap his mask for the second one that needs to come in. And so it would go on. The team that worked on the outside, their responsibility was to do the feed delivery on the guys that's too far from Epping, and we would do home trimmings and home shoeing there. And this, for the team that worked outside, it was really tough. Suddenly your bucky became your office. You need to plan your trip wherever you go, because, you know, if you need to go, you must go. So for the men, it was easy. If they need to go, they go around the bush. You know, I wouldn't like to go around the bush. So if you had to plan our trips, it was quite tough. And specifically for the farriers as well, you know, they couldn't do the job as properly as they would like it. They didn't have all the tools. For instance, we didn't take the forge with us. You know, sometimes where they would do the trimming and the shoeing, the ground was a little bit uneven, and the conditions was not favorable towards the farrier. This is also a photograph of a home trimming, a home shoeing actually. There is Heritage at the top. Obviously, feed again was delivered, and Heritage was born on Heritage Day 2019, hence the name Heritage. So he's obviously now eating the feed, and now he walked down to his father, for where his father's getting shoes, and you can just only imagine what is going through his mind. Probably something like "Run, Forrester, run," because he knows what's happening. Cartos is also a member of the Cape Animal Welfare Forum, CORF, and the Western Cape government donated cat and dog food to the members of the Cape Animal Welfare Forum. You know, Cartos looked after the horses, and we looked very well after the horses. But, you know, when there's a house with no food, the first that suffer are the cats and the dogs. And we were only too happy to be able to relieve some of the hunger. But there were many, many hunger cats and dogs out on the Cape Flats. You know, in many ways, Cartos is very fortunate. We are really a very fortunate organization, but I'm going to stick to veterinary because that's what I know. You know, we probably have the best equine specialist in South Africa, I would say. You know, we make use of Blue Cross Veterinary Hospital, Dr. Francois Trigaard, Cynthia Donnellan, Lizanne Ginter, and Cape Veterinary Practice, Dr. Kate Meyering and Dr. Lee Baragwana. She started a couple of months ago, could be a year, I don't know, can't remember. And then this lady, Dr. Lauren Brewers. And I would like to stay with Dr. Brewers for a moment, and we refer to her as Dr. Lauren. And I know she's watching because at the start of the AGM, she sent me a message asking me what I'm still doing at work. You can't do that, Dr. Lauren. You're making me very nervous. I am nervous already. Dr. Lauren, we sincerely would like to thank you for being always available, even when you're on leave, when you're off, to take our calls. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for being always so calm when we go into our panic mode. You know, you are so familiar with Cartos and you're so involved with Cartos, you really feel like a staff member. Thank you so very much for everything that you assist us with. I must just add here, she was baptized about 3 weeks ago. She was literally bitten to hospital by Caesar boy. And you ask me why? She wanted to geld him. For the next two slides, they're going to be a little bit more graphic. So if you want to top up your glass of wine or put some ice in your whiskey or make yourself a cup of tea, please do that. If you don't like bloody slides or not nice, graphically not nice slides. This past year, we seem to experience more testicular problems. You know, if it was 15 years ago, one would expect it, because 15 years ago, the carters had the habit of beating the horses between the legs with shock wire, but they don't do it anymore. But we had quite a few of these problems: swollen testicles, swollen penises. But who do you call? Dr. Lauren. At the bottom here, you can see Melanie's face. You can just imagine what that fistula's withers must smell like. We had quite a few of those as well. There's Melanie busy draining that fistula's withers. And we had more than usual harness wounds. And we think it's because when the horses didn't work, that first 6 weeks of complete lockdown, before they could go out to work, the carters owners, they didn't look after the harness, they didn't clean the harness. So when they could go out to work, the harness were hard of the old sweat, and that caused the harness wounds. In the middle is we had a couple of horses, about 10, 12 horses with eye injuries. Luckily, they all have recovered. And on the right-hand side, plastic, my plastic, our friend, the colic causer. It's amazing that we don't have more horses dying of colic due to plastic than what we do. You know, we confiscated a couple of horses from Bonteheuwel. They were roaming around in Bonteheuwel, and 2 weeks they were taken to R&R. And 2 weeks after they've been at R&R, when the groom cleaned the one stable, Miriam's stable, they found a whole ball of plastic coming out of his stomach 2 weeks afterwards. Then the other problem, I would like to say, the other worrying factor that we are sitting with is dog bite wounds. In this specific case, Heidi Jr. was bitten by a pit bull, and he went for the jugular. He literally went for the jugular. Anyway, we found Dr. Lauren, and she came out and she stitched him up, and Heidi healed completely. You could hardly see that there was any wound on her jugular and her neck. Just for her to injure herself 6 months down the line after the injury, and she had a fracture in her hoof, and she was sadly put to sleep. Motor vehicle accidents. Again, too many horses lost their lives because they were hit by trucks and cars. You know, if I have to show you the pictures, the graphic pictures of a horse being hit by a car or by a truck, Penny will call me in tomorrow morning and I will have a disciplinary hearing. And it's very sad. It's not nice when you see a horse on Wednesday and it's pretty and it's beautiful and it's nice harness. Then on Saturday morning when you drive down Stellenbosch Arterial, all you see is the carcass on the side. It's really not nice, and it's irresponsible. Why did we choose this particular case? Well, this happened on a Friday morning at 10 o'clock in the middle of COVID. Now, you can see the crowd. It's in the middle of COVID. We're supposed to have masks. Not one has got a mask on. At the bottom pictures on your left, you'll see that's the truck that hit Gamaiki. On the right-hand side of the same picture, you can see Gamaiki grazing very nicely, but the cart is literally in several pieces, several pieces. And there on the ground, there's the driver lying, and he's moaning and he's groaning. Oh, I know, it's so sore. Oh, I know. Until one of these ladies from the crowd came and she gave him a kick against the leg, and she said to him, come on, what's wrong with you? Get up. And he got up. Nothing was wrong with him. She was right. If you look at these 2 pictures or 3 pictures, the 2 of Ghost, and you don't get angry, then I live in a different world than you. Every time I look at this, it's like anger overcome me. Ghost got this car in Summer Greens. He was pulling this Mercedes with the engine, with scrap inside the car, all the way from Summer Greens. The first complaint we received was in Monte Vista Boulevard. So he was trotting on, struggling on, suffering on for kilometers before someone called us. Anyway, we called Goodwood Neighborhood Watch, and they assisted us, and we stopped them on a side street just off Holt Road. If you look at Ghost at the top photo, he was dripping wet with sweat. You can nearly hear him breathing if you look at him. You can see the load, how dangerous it was being loaded. I parked the horse in front of Ghost, and I opened the ramp, and we started to unhitch Ghost from the cart. Now, I thought I've seen horses box itself, load itself. I thought I've seen horses, wanting to go in a box, but I was wrong. I think when that box opened up, Ghost knew. He knew, by the way, Ghost is the name of the pony. Ghost knew. He knew, this is my savior. These people are here to help me. If I walk into that box, I will walk into a new future. And boy, he walked into that box, and boy, he walked into his future. And this is Ghost now at R&R. He's a little bit cocky, full of him, but he can be. Look at him, he's absolutely beautiful. He's full of mischief, still a young man. And he's just looking for something to spook at. He's a very entertaining little pony, full of himself. I need to ask each and every one of you listening this question. Why would you go and buy a horse, this saddler? It's not registered with us. He paid, the cart is like so much, so we have tried to find out exactly how much he paid, but we established it between 10,000 and 15,000 rand for this horse. It's in the middle of COVID. This owner, he's got working horses as well. He's got access to free feed. Yet, he's got the audacity and the cheek to put poor Smart like that in a cart. He challenged a cart horse, and we accepted the challenge. And after a couple of months, this is what Smart looked like. He looks much, much better now. He's absolutely beautiful. If he was a man, you would refer to him as a big bear. He's really such a sweet, sweet horse. Very protective over his mares, like men should be, over one mare though. But he's such a kind horse, very, very sweet horse. And these at the top, the grooms, the staff from the Recovery and Rehabilitation Center, they are the ones that look after the horses. For us that operate from Epping, it is such a relief for us that we will when we confiscate horses, we leave it in the absolute capable hands of our grooms. On the left, you'll see George, Carmen, Rhino, Herbert, Donix, and at the front, Emmanuel. Penny, when you see them, please convey our sincere appreciation for what they do. Although we say thank you is a small word. We sometimes do it because we are just being decent, but they are the angels behind the scene. And at the bottom, some of us at the bottom are angels, the other half are got a little bit of devil in them. With COVID lockdown, bad habits started up again, overloading, theft, illegal activity. On the right-hand side, that photo was taken from a CCTV camera. After the carcass assaulted the security guard, who wanted to stop them from stealing the mattress, they jumped over the wall and they pushed the double bed over the wall, and they took it to Joe Slovo to sell it. Lorna at the bottom here, they were more clever. They stole a generator, something we all need now, desperately. Obviously, during lockdown, as you know by now, there was also a lot of load shedding. But what Lorna did wrong, they were very dumb. They used the N2 as the escape route. They went down Mike Pina Boulevard and onto the N2, and we found them in on the on-ramp towards Durban Road. When we asked them to stop, they refused to stop, and we had to call in Bellville police to assist us, which they did. We cornered them, and 3 jumped off the car. 1 stayed with the horse. He was taken to jail, and of course, Lorna was taken into equine jail, where she had lots of feed to eat. We've started our stable project many years ago, and COVID proved to us that our stable project definitely works. You know, the continuously going back to revisit your stables motivates the owner to maintain their stables. During lockdown, obviously we didn't go to the stable yards to do home visits, and the results was not very good, not very kind. The stables were not maintained. Wolves became a headache for poor Ashley and his team, Bonani and Marlon. The guys didn't have money. The Carties didn't have money. They put secondhand shoes on. They would buy really very big nails, and they fit the shoes with big nails. And they, you know, they would go ride the horses bare feet. And then once the hoof is all cracked and all buggered up, then they will bring it to Cartos to try and fix it. Obviously, it's not a one-day fixed job, but I've spoken to Ashley earlier on, and he said it's getting better now. It's definitely getting better now. The joys and the pains of the job. The mother is called Doris. They also refer to her as Emma, Doris. And her foal is called Doris Day. Now, Doris Day was an actress from, I think, the 50s. I'm not sure. I wasn't born in the 50s, but she was an actress. And there was just a nice ring to Doris and Doris Day, the foal. That's why we named it Doris Day. And when the top photographs were taken, she was 36 hours old. The mother is also part of the wild herd that roam around just outside the airport, or on the boundary of the airport and Freedom Farm. About 8 months after Doris Day was born, we received a phone call from Doris, the mother, being down. Melanie Jalisi went out to the case. The owner wasn't on the scene, but there were other Carties on the scene. And while Melanie and Jalisi were there, the owner arrived and extremely aggressive towards Cartos. What are you doing to my horse? What have you done to my horse? The Carties, you know, they explained to him that your horse has been sick all day. Where were you? Anyway, he refused Cartos to treat the horse. He refused Melanie to treat the horse. Melanie called me, and I went out to the scene. And unfortunately, she was too deep in the field that we couldn't get the horse box in. We couldn't also get close enough with the buckies. Anyway, so when I got there, the owner remained very aggressive, and we referred to this beautiful animal, majestic animal, as this thing. This is my thing. Leave my thing alone. But in the meantime, we called the vet, and they're busy drawing up the meds, spoken to Dr. Lauren. And after a lot of pressure from the rest of the Carties, the owner eventually decided that we are allowed to treat her. Not that it would have mattered to me, because as an inspector, you can overrule that. And then the owner decided that the thing must die there. We're not allowed to PTS, put her to sleep, or get a vet out to her. The thing must die. Every time he would refer to her as the thing, it was like you stab us with a dagger right through our spine. And I just can't comprehend, how can you have such a lovely horse? How can you call yourself an animal lover if you let this beautiful horse want to die by itself? Anyway, this photo at the bottom was taken particularly because I knew that I was going to ask the vet to PTS her, and in case there was a court case, I would have had evidence. But when the vet arrived, she unfortunately died. And we sat with the anger for a very, very long time towards the owner. A huge anger. Harness repairs. When we took the top harness to Sia, our harness maker, he's a very tiny, gentle young man. He looked at me and Sia said to me, "Oh, what do you want me to do with this?" And I said to him, "Sia, you must make a new harness." I could understand his confusion. Anyway, the bottom photograph is not the prettiest of harness, but each and every piece that's used on that harness, apart from buckles that Ashley bought, was made up of donated harnessing and donated stuff that we got from donors. Each and every piece. Sia, obviously, he polished the harness, and the harness did look quite nice afterwards. When it rains, we make a plan. You all know that last year we had very, very bad weather and lots of snow, and it was very cold. And Mr. Klutter, the owner of Mandy, he decided he's going to, when he comes to buy his feed, he's going to put the tent up on the cart. So it's an animal drawn tent. And very, very clever. It entertained us quite a bit. Penny said earlier on that we need to think out of the box, and Penny is right. But you know, Cartels has been functioning for more than 25 years, and over this past 25 years, a lot of things have changed in the community we work in. But there are a couple of things that I believe will never change. Like the photo on the top left. You know, the community we work in, the people in the Cape Flats, horses are their culture. They've got such a rich history of horses. You know, on Sundays, putting your horse in an antique harness, you know, hitching the horse in an antique cart. That is what they live for. That is their wealth. That is their pride. I don't think that will ever change. And to be quite honest, you know, if you look at the horses well looked after, you don't want that habit to change. At the bottom photograph, again, it's COVID. Nobody's wearing masks. I yet have to drive down a road on the Cape Flats where it's empty, where there are no one. If you drive down any road on the Cape Flats, or anyway the roads that we operate, where we're operating, there's always children playing around, people sitting on the stoepie smoking a cigarette, having a beer, sitting around a table playing dominoes. They are an extremely sociable community, and it's something that we most certainly can learn from. I'm pretty sure not one of those ladies wants the lifestyle of a Jackie Onassis. All they want is enough to be happy, to look after their families and their friends, because that is what is important to them. And then substance abuse. That photo was taken on a Saturday morning, and I believe the previous evening was on a Friday. In Friday night, it was the Rastas nightclub. They call it the Dub, and that's how he started his Saturday morning after the Friday night's Dub nightclub. And then horses roaming around, whether they're tethered or not. I also think that will never change. And it's maybe something that we need to adapt to. I don't know. I ask you to remember our introduction photograph. That tiny plane spraying the beautiful crops, hectares and hectares of crop. And this tiny plane that you're looking at, it's got such an important function. You know, it sprays fertilizer over the crop for the farmer so that he can harvest at the end of the year, so he can sell it, and so that the country, the people of South Africa can eat. Now, I want to compare this tiny plane to Cartels. Compare Cartels to other organizations. We are a tiny organization that does a lot. And this past year, it was a very tough year for the field. You know, we faced the coronavirus literally head on. And we didn't do it because we're scared of Penny or the committee. And by the way, Penny can be very scary sometimes. We didn't do it because for any reason, but for the reason that we believe in what we do and we believe in cartels. This past year, cartels flew very high. We were not caught grounded like SAA. You know, cartel staff and cartels, we are strong, but we are not rude. We are kind, but we are not weak. We are bold, but we do not bully. We are humble, but we're not shy. We are confident, but we're not arrogant. That last one is a little bit debatable because I'm extremely arrogant about cartels because I'm exactly so confident about cartels. As far as I'm concerned and the rest of the field staff are concerned, I can tell you cartels will continue to fly as high as it takes us. Thank you very much for watching.
Wow. I've watched that presentation so many times and I can actually watch it another 2 or 3 times. It is just absolutely wonderful to see. While everyone was in lockdown, our work never ever stopped. And we have the most dedicated field staff and we will always put the horse first, no matter what. Thank you once again to all our donors that keep us going through these very uncertain times. And we hope that you really enjoyed Inspector Diana's presentation as much as I did and Marika did once again.
Thanks, Lynn. We will definitely keep doing what we do. As you all know, Karen and I have lots of fun here, but it's not all about fun games. We can't do our jobs without our loyal donors. So at this point, we ask that we know that everyone is going out for the cup of coffee and meeting up with friends again as the lockdown eases. And we want to ask you that to think about the horses and instead of buying a second cup of coffee, maybe donate that 20 Rand to cartels. Karen always says no donation is too small or too big.
Never.
But please go and visit our website. We have a brand new donation page. Or if you want to do it really simply, just download SnapScan. And either you can snap the little QR code or you can go to the bottom right hand corner, look for donate, and then search for our names. And you can just donate via the app. And now.
And if you've missed any of our interesting episodes, you can still access them on Facebook, on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. As Marika always says, there is something for everyone, and we do know that.
Yeah, you can watch the episodes. You can go to our website and then go on the Coffee with Cartels tab, or on YouTube, or on our Facebook page. And now we are even broadcasting on Twitch as from today.
Wow! Yay! Well done,
Yeah.
Marika. You're really putting us out there. Well, we need to be.
We hope so.
Awesome. But on that note, folks, please remember to like and share our page. We need your support. And as always, no donation is ever too small or too big. Thank you for tuning in. And please don't forget to order your 2022 calendar. Please email me, give us a call, contact us, and place your order. And until next Wednesday, please be safe and take care. Bye, Marika. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye. See you next week.